Hey Fisherman, Aqua Duelist here, and Merry Christmas everyone. Christmas is right around the corner, so what better thing to do than, give you guys a Legendary Fisherman deck profile here, because, Legendary Fisherman is one of the decks that I'm really just known for, essentially. And, I really just love this deck. It is still my favorite I still really love this deck. It is just my favorite OG anime deck. Now, the thing is, we did get a new card of support in Brothers of Legend, which, no matter how you look at it, it's specifically Legendary Fisherman support. I know we got a lot of water support in that set, but there's one card in particular that just stands out and directly supports this deck. So, this build is going to be pretty different than any build online, but I really feel like this is the best way to play Legendary Fisherman. As I've said in my older videos, this deck kind of has an issue where it still feels like it's stuck in like 2003, 2004. So, really just kind of think about it's a normal summon reliant deck. So I thought, okay, how can we essentially fully utilize that and make it the best it can be, going off of what it is. So until we get the new Mako support in the Legendary Duelist set, this is probably the best way to play the deck for now, at least in my opinion. Now, starting off, 3 copies of Legendary Fisherman 1 here. He's unaffected by spells. Opponent can't target him for attacks, but it doesn't stop them from attacking you directly, so that kind of sucks. Next up, 3 copies of Legendary Fisherman 2. This guy's unaffected by monster effects. Your opponent essentially, outs him. You get to add a level 7 or higher water monster from deck to hand. And then we're playing 2 copies of the Big Bad Legendary Fisherman 3. This is still just one of the most insane main deck boss monsters, honestly. So with this guy, you tribute a Legendary Fisherman to special summon him. Legendary Fisherman 2's name, while it's on the field, is Legendary Fisherman, so yeah. So that's how you special summon this guy, and when he's summoned, you just banish all your opponent's monsters. He's unaffected by traps, traps and spells. Can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. He could still be targeted, but yeah. And then you can shuffle in all your opponent's banished cards back in their graveyard, and then the next damage your opponent takes gets doubled. So that's pretty insane. It's still kind of crazy just how good of a main deck boss monster this is. And it's in Legendary Fisherman, but this is just still one of the most insane boss monsters for a main deck. Now moving on. Playing 3 copies of not Legendary Fisherman, 3 copies of Warrior of Atlantis. This will actually get us our Legendary Ocean here, which we're also playing 3 copies of, and then we're also playing the 1 copy of Terraforming. So we essentially are playing 7 copies of Legendary Ocean. So you guys can see this. I really do love having, just the nice ultis of Warrior Atlantis. Still can't believe how much these just shot up after, all that Mako support getting announced. Alright, so I am playing a Fury package. I'm opting to play 3 copies of Fury of Coruscant here. What this does is it adds Torrential Tribute from deck to hand, and then when it's in the grave, you can banish it to basically protect your water monsters from, being destroyed once. You can only use each effect, once per turn. So, yeah. And then I'm playing 3 copies of Torrential Tribute here. Now, it kind of might, I know to some people it might be weird that, I'm doing a 3-3 thing right here, but there's another card I'm playing. And when we get to it, it'll kind of help explain why I'm going with this ratio. So, but still pretty good. Next up, I'm playing 2 copies of Rage of Coruscant. Still not really bad. The fact that it's a quick play spell, like, it's really insane. This card's really good. So for each water monster you control whose original level is 5 or higher, you essentially get to banish a opponent's monster on the field, and your opponent can't use that zone for like a turn. So that's pretty cool. And then playing 2 copies of Sea Stealth Attack here. I love this card. So if you have a Umi, which Legendary Ocean's name is Umi, so or is treated as Umi, so this will actually activate it from the grave if you have one in there, and then it offers some really nice protection by banishing a water monster you control, and your back row can't be just destroyed. And then if a water monster you control whose original level is 5 or higher, when it battles during damage calculation, that monster that it's battling actually gets destroyed. So damage doesn't even get applied, which is honestly pretty crazy. So if your opponent really just doesn't understand how this card works, they'll just keep crashing their monster into your Legendary Fisherman, and they'll just lose their field. So that's it for all the Mako monsters. I know I'm not playing Citadel well with this. I decided to drop the Citadel well because even though Citadel well will get this out, we're not really going to be getting 2 bodies on the field, so not really much of a reason to play it, I felt. Now, for draw power, 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance. Just drawing 2 is really nice, effectively going +1. I kind of would rather do that than, essentially, dig for 1 card. So, yeah, I think this is one of those decks where Extravagance just might be better. And then 3 copies of Pod Duality. So, you're not really going to be special summoning at all, really. The only time you're ever going to be special summoning would be like past turn 2, which you want to go first with this deck anyway. So yeah, and that's only if you have Legendary Fisherman 3 in hand, or if you have like 2 Legendary Fishermans, like 1 and 2 on field, you can make an XD. But you're probably not going to want to do that. You're not going into your X deck a whole lot, so I felt like there wasn't a reason to really, play these since, we're not playing frogs. If we were playing frogs, I wouldn't play these. But I felt like going this route's just better for right now. So next up, 3 copies of Foolish Burial Goods. Sorry I have to proxy 2. I know I have 3. I bought these, I bought it as a playset, and I just couldn't find my other 2. So, power editing, these other 2 are just going to be, they'll be this. So, yeah, thank the editor. So with this, you basically, it's Foolish Burial except for spells or traps. So this is why we opt to play 3 Fairy Crucians. If we do draw a Torrential, we can Foolish Burial 1 of the Furies. And it works with the next card, which we're about ready to go into. So for that new card I said that was in Brothers of Legend, Ice Barrier right here. No matter how you look at this card, it is Legendary Fisherman support. So here's the thing. If your opponent attacks you directly, the monster they attack with, its attack becomes 0, its effects are negated, it can't change battle position, it's just stuck like that. So if you have Legendary Fisherman 1 on the field, your opponent can't attack it, so they have to attack you directly. So yeah, that first effect's actually better than I was originally thinking when this got revealed. It took a minute for me to really just think, oh, this is perfect for Legendary Fisherman. Now it has a second effect, which this is what really matters. You can banish it from the graveyard, and you can send a level 5 or higher water monster from deck to grave, and then you get to add it to your hand. So that's pretty freaking cool. You are locked into only summoning water monsters until the end of your next turn, but that really just doesn't matter. It's pretty insane. The thing that's really kind of, I think, busted about this is the fact that you can use both effects on the same turn. So, You can literally use the first effect. It goes to grave, and that turn you can banish it. That's freaking awesome. Like, usually with stuff like this, you don't, there's usually a restriction where you can only use like either effect, or like you can't use the second effect the same turn this card was sent to grave. But this doesn't have that. That's really freaking stupid. So this definitely gets Legendary Fisherman some of that speed I've been saying it really kind of needs. While it's not exactly what I was thinking, the fact that, because it's a trap, I was really hoping we got, like, that Rhoda. Initially, before we got all this Legendary Fisherman support, I said it really needed a Rhoda, which we are getting. This actually isn't too bad for now, so really good card. You have to play it at 3, and, we can also send this to grave with Foolish Burial Goods, so... And next up, last 3 cards of the main deck. Dimensional Barrier here. So the reason why I'm opting to play this is because, honestly, right now, with the way the meta is and such, this pretty much hits, like, every deck. I think the deck that it's just the worst against is Bird Up. Because, Tri-Brigade, you effectively are going to shut off their XZ plays, but they can, then just go for Link plays. So, that's like the worst matchup, honestly, but I think this card's too good right now to not main deck for Legendary Fisherman. Not saying, I'm not going to say Legendary Fisherman's going to be like a top cut deck, like, at all. This is a really awesome, fun, casual deck. You could steal some tops at locals with, but probably not like a regional or anything. So this will definitely help giving you a fighting chance. Now, when this card essentially gets into a format where it's not that great, what I would replace this with is actually is the Lord of Heavenly Prison. That card's actually really freaking good. So I would replace this with that if you have them. I know that card's like pretty, pretty pricey. It's like 30 per about around $30 per copy. So yeah, it's just right now I felt like this was better. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Now we're going to go on to the extra deck. So obviously, since we're playing Pot of Extravagance, and we're not really going to the extra deck a whole lot, we're playing 3 Bahamut Shark, and then with that, 3 Totally Awesomes. Just, self-explanatory on these. If your opponent decides to Dogmatica Punishment you, or not Dogmatica Punishment, Maximus, that's what I'm thinking of. You could just send Toads and, put them back in, or, you could grab, like, Legendary Fisherman from Grave, whatever you need. So, next up, 3, number 4, Stealth Kragans. Card's absolutely insane. Makes all your opponent's monsters water, and then, you essentially get this quick effect pop and burn with it, so that's pretty cool. And then we're also playing 3 Stealth Kragan Spawns. If this guy goes away, you get to bring out some of these guys, and, these can essentially bring this back. So, all around, these are just really freaking good. Like, this was a major, like, extra deck buff to this deck, I feel. Then we're playing 2 copies of number 37, Hope Woven Dragon Spider Shark. I feel like that's the only time on this channel I have literally just straight up said it without fucking it up. Because it is a bit of a tongue twister of a name. So this guy, only reason why I'm playing 2 is I don't actually have 3, or if I do, I can't find my 3rd one. I probably have a 3rd somewhere, knowing me. So this guy, he is essentially kind of like a reverse Honest almost. If your monsters do battle with an opponent's monster, you detach all your opponent's monsters, lose 1,000. And then he essentially just kind of floats into another, aura monster from the grave when he gets destroyed. So, yeah. And then lastly, 1 copy of Snow Dust Giant. I didn't want to play, Silent Honor Arc, just because this deck already has so many ways to deal with opponent's monsters. So I feel like it's useless in this deck. But, this card's kind of like a discount number 37, Spider Shark here, which Spider Shark's not that expensive. I think he's like 4 or 5 piece. But you essentially get ice counters with this guy, and then your opponent's monsters lose attack equal to X ice counters you have. So yeah, he's not terrible. Just somewhat like a worse version of this guy. But like I said, if I could find my third copy, if I have one, which I probably do, I would play 3 copies of this guy. So guys, that is it. I hope y'all really enjoyed this legendary fisherman, deck profile here. This update to this deck. So when the new support drops, I'm definitely going to be picking it up, doing an update to it then. Really, really just excited for the new legendary duelist set. It's gonna be insane. So guys, go ahead, harpoon that subscribe button. Really helps out the channel. Want to get to 400. We're like a week away, well, a little more than a week away from the end of the year. Let's do it, guys. Destroy that subscribe button. Like, smash it, break it, destroy it. I want to get to 400. Harpoon it. Don't forget to harpoon that like button. Really helps the channel out. And then don't forget to comment any comments y'all have. Link in the description down below to my Instagram. And I will see y'all in the next video, guys. Merry Christmas.